What is up, guys? Welcome back to Verse Crypto channel for another awesome live stream. Back out of vacation. And guess what, guys? I got a special treat for you. Want to do a little bit of surprise live stream. And we're going to be talking about TitanX and one of the first projects to launch on top of it, because I don't think you guys realize that something big is about to happen within this ecosystem. And I'm really excited to cover today. So I want to welcome to this live stream one of my good friends and probably one of the most intelligent people I have seen in the space and also within the TitanX ecosystem, Erik from DragonX. What's up, brother? How we doing today?
Hey, man, doing really good. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You know, I've had so many people ask me, hey, when are you gonna have DragonX on? When are you gonna have DragonX on? And I'm excited to finally have you guys on. You guys have been crushing it. I heard you've been doing some development in the back scenes. All you guys have been doing is just developing and building. And that's one of the key components I love about development teams. So far, how's everything been lately?
It's been crazy, man. Yeah, it's been great. Like DragonX has been operating now for almost 3 weeks, operating flawlessly, and we're super happy about how it's turned out. And we've been building some great new stuff in the background. Some of the stuff I've alluded to. I've given you exclusive first look at the hybrid white paper. So that's kind of we're going to be breaking that on this stream if you'd like, if we have time. And yeah, so much going on behind the scenes, but it's very exciting.
Absolutely. And look, we're gonna get to that at the end of this live stream as more people come in. And yeah, so you guys are gonna get a firsthand look at what's been going on behind the curtain, and it's gonna be really cool. And I've been just taking a little dabble at it, and I'm so excited to talk about it. So before we get into all that, I'm really curious, what's your background and when did you first get into cryptocurrency?
Oh, one sec. I lost you. Move the camera. Sorry.
There you go, man.
That's better. My background, yeah. So I have a software engineering background. I've been doing software engineering for I would say 8 years, and yeah, I'd been in crypto since about 2015, around the time of the Ethereum launch, Ethereum ICO, and that's kind of when it first piqued my interest. And since then, I've been investing. As I mentioned in some other streams, like I basically I got in around then, and I was kind of dabbling in 2017. Like I made some good money, but it was nothing crazy. And then I just went deeper and deeper. And then basically, it was around the time when Uniswap launched. I think it was like 2015. Sorry, 2019, where basically, yeah, Uniswap had just launched, and then a few months later, I think Hex had come out, and I was following Richard Heart pretty closely. I think the first thing I saw with him was the stream that he had with Roger Ver. If you haven't seen that one, by the way, I'd highly recommend it because it's a really good YouTube video. But basically, that really got me super interested because I was a software engineer and I was very much into the first principles of crypto, which is actually not to make you rich. It's actually to give you root access over your money, guys. So, go back and learn the principles if you haven't. Like, for example, today, Monero was delisted from Binance.
Wow.
So, that's not a good thing. So there's some stuff happening in crypto that's good and stuff that's bad. But basically, I was in it for the first principles. But then Hex came out, and that was like the first number go up technology. Really, I don't think people realize that was kind of like the initial stages of DeFi summer, and kind of like Richard was leading that, even though no one gives him credit for it except for Hexicans. And so yeah, that was kind of my introduction to DeFi and crypto, and I kind of got super deep into Hex, and yeah, it was a crazy ride. Like I staked a ton of Hex, so that's one of the lessons I learned in that whole crypto run is like, don't stake your tokens, and if you're gonna stake them, be damn sure you don't need that money. And that might be why I ultimately came to the staking concept first for DragonX. It's because I saw people staking for 8 years, and I have a philosophy which is that robots make better stakers than humans. And so I was kind of quick to see like that maybe a staking protocol could be beneficial for the ecosystem.
Right. Interesting. So there's a couple things I want to unpack that, man. You got my brain exploding right now. I got so many questions, but
yes, I skimmed through a whole bunch there. Sorry about that, but yeah, we can.
Yeah, man. No, you don't apologize. No, first off, I love your response on all the stuff you unpacked with, Richard Hart. Humans are better at stake. I mean, robots are better at staking than humans. But the first thing I want to ask you about is this end goal of crypto, which I believe all of us miss. A lot of people are, well, I would probably say majority of people are in this to make money. Let's be honest here. And
Yep.
there's very few people in it for the technology. I firmly believe that the people that are in this for the technology are most likely going to be the founders and the development team. And then everyone else is here just to find the token that has number go up. That's just my opinion. Now,
Yep.
the end game of crypto, it's being proposed as a way to change the financial system. But in my opinion, it's to create this metaverse type reality where we all plug into this hive mind and we share these ideas. And I see that the blockchain technology is going to be a great way to have sustainable energy. Because like if you look at ChatGPT, they spend over, I think it was like $1 billion a year to maintain that due to energy costs and computation time. And so, in my opinion, I see people think about it as the financials, as a replacement for the financial system, but I see it as like this metaverse ready player one world. Erik, what's your opinion on that statement, and what do you think the end game of cryptocurrency is?
Yeah, it's a really good question, man. Actually, I was just pondering this because of the whole XMR delisting. And I was kind of thinking back to like what crypto kind of originally stood for. And it didn't really stand for gaming. It didn't really stand for making money per se. Um, it stood for giving users root access to their money, and it stood for individual sovereignty and freedom. And I think a lot of people forget that, and I think that is dying in the crypto industry. There's no doubt about it, because people are so focused on that financial gain. Um, and I think that you're kind of right in the sense that we're heading toward this world where crypto is almost like a form of kind of advanced gambling in a sense. Um, and and I mean, there are. It's not necessarily a bad thing, right? There's benefits to it. Like we have these social money systems, which are very interesting, like what we're doing in DeFi. Um, but it does kind of make me a bit sad that we're losing that aspect of. First and foremost, it was like a kind of cypherpunk movement to 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 be an alternative financial system, alternative to the fiat financial system. And I hope that lives on. But it does appear to be dying in some ways as it comes in contact with regulators and governments. Um, the I don't know if any of you guys have not looked into the original crypto wars of the 70s and 80s, then you should definitely look into that, because it's fascinating history. And it gets into kind of all of the legal cases where the government tried to prevent individuals from basically having sovereignty over their data by encrypting it. And we're going through that battle again right now in the industry. And I think a lot of people are just so focused on making money that they don't actually see the walls closing into a lot of this stuff. So yeah, that is unfortunate. But in terms of the future, I would say, yeah, I think I think social gaming is definitely going to be a big part of it. And I think that, yeah, it may be a more regulated kind of version of what we have now. Like, for example, I know that Uniswap pretty recently added support for KYC NFTs. So there's architecture being built in the background to make this more compliant. And I think that's going to come more and more into the fore, and eventually will probably be controlled in what we can do in DeFi.
Right. And I couldn't agree with you more about this. Right. I think how things are getting played out, and this is just my honest opinion, is that crypto right now is being presented as like a Trojan horse. So the government's saying that they don't like crypto. They want to attack it through regulation, but in reality, they want it so bad, especially when it comes to CBDCs and also this virtual reality with the metaverse. That's just my god honest opinion, but I do think you brought up some really great points. Now, the last thing I want to ask you about, we're talking about a problem here, and I always firmly believe anytime you talk about a problem, you always have to have some sort of solution. So
Mhm.
because we see the tide turning towards a lot of these big corporations or these big self-interests, what are some solutions that we can do at the grassroots level to prevent a dystopic future and to build something that'll be better for our children going on?
That's an amazing question. And thank you, man, for taking it deep on this one. Like, because I think it's super important, man. Like, I feel like everybody should do what you're doing and preface their stream with stuff like this, like the real content that actually affects the industry. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's fantastic. And I think that that's actually something that creators can do, and what people can do who are listening is really take this to heart. You know, look into the advocacy that Coin Center is doing and that these other organizations are doing to try to protect your rights to engage with crypto. You know, be very careful with your data. Understand the difference between custodied tokens and self-sovereignty. Recognize when that sovereignty might be getting eroded, and actively stand up against that. You know, a lot of people are just, I mean, people are in here for the gains, but like part of the reason why there are such gains in crypto is because it's a free market, because we have the ability to build on these chains without permission. And as soon as we lose that freedom aspect, we're going to lose the gains. I guarantee you. So everybody needs to make sure that this continues to be a sovereign platform, a platform that is permissionless, like the early internet was. Because if you need a license to build crypto software, or you need a license to deploy financial software like this, then that's going to really destroy the industry. And so I would advocate for that. So what I would say for a user is go back, look at the crypto wars, look at why Bitcoin was actually created, look at why they're delisting Monero, understand the principles of Monero and why it's important. Then pay attention to when those principles are being eroded and fight it when you can. And speak up to people around you who don't understand crypto. And it doesn't, if someone is skeptical of crypto, maybe you don't necessarily couch it just in financial terms. Maybe you also couch it in terms that everyone understands, which is freedom, or that a lot of good people want, which is freedom, sovereignty, the ability to build and create freely. These are things that people outside of, you know, the number go up gang might be interested in, because I think there's a lot of elitists and people who are not in crypto who just see it as a gambling parlor. And if we want the gambling to persist, then we need to also preserve the underlying philosophies that allow it to be here.
Awesome points. And the one thing I want to add, you know, you mentioned freedom multiple times, and that's the whole point of crypto. It's about the individual. It's about basically not tying yourself to the system with greedy middlemen taking advantage of you in every aspect of lives. Because if you look at some of these first world countries, middlemen are the reason why they're getting hit real hard. And the one thing I want to leave before we move on to the next section of this live stream is Benjamin Franklin had a famous quote: "Tyranny arises when good men do nothing." And the point I'm getting across is to highlight what we both are saying is that if you guys want crypto to be by the individual and not controlled by any greedy centralized self-interest at the global level, it's up to you to make a difference. It's up to you to go to regulators to make the change. It's up to you to really push through this stuff, because at the end of the day, not one person is going to save us. It's all of us together fighting against this, building a better future. So, hey, man,
100%.
great segment, man. And we got to do a live stream on Crypto Wars. I think that would be like a great 2-hour live stream, dude.
Yeah.
So just moving in, let's talk about TitanX. I'm really curious. TitanX comes up. Jake Sharp does a few live streams with me, Crypto Kindness, and Smoothing Crypto. Shout out to all those two other guys. Please go follow them. Really great guys. They're really good friends of mine, and they're killing in the game. So we had the launch of TitanX, and then I started hearing rumblings about DragonX. So when did you first get into TitanX, and what really drew your interest into TitanX? So 2-part question.
Yeah, good question. So like I said, I came from a software engineer background. I was working in some pretty like hardcore tech startups in Boston. And one thing that teaches you is that like team and people are everything, especially when something's early. And I'd actually known Jake for about a year before he launched TitanX, and I was part of his mastermind group. And I really believe in backing individuals. One of the reasons why I got into Hex as well in the early days is because of Richard, right? And the same way with TitanX, because Jake is a fantastic, like he's just a high quality individual. You can tell from all his streams, all his content, where he focuses his life, his fitness, everything is so on point. And that immediately drew me into what he was building. So I took note of Jake before he even launched TitanX, because I could see that that was a promising individual, like an individual that was going to do something big. And so that kind of brought me into his mastermind when he started it. And yeah, I remember we were talking in the early days, like a year before TitanX even launched, about what he might launch. And it was very interesting stuff. So I was kind of keyed in from the beginning when it comes to getting into TitanX. And when it finally launched, yeah, I was in on day one, like a lot of you guys.
Wow, that's awesome. And you know, it's interesting just thinking back to the first day of when TitanX launched, and
Yeah.
I had a great conversation with Crypto Khaos about this, because he went through, did a live stream, waited a week and just see what happened. And
Mhm.
when I first interviewed Jake and I looked through the white paper, I noticed that he was trying to do a different approach to DeFi. He was trying to create something different. It wasn't a fork. It was very unique. And the idea was to build a community around it and also incentivize project development so that you can launch projects not through a VC funded way, but through a community fair launch program. And that's one thing I really liked. And then also he brought in the numerology stuff. And I love numerology. I'm kind of dumb. I'm not as smart as you, but I really love the numerology aspect of it. It got me going crazy. But I remember first diving into it, and the community was so small. And then we started to see more and more people come on, and it just turned into this beast. I see it all over Twitter. I see new founders. I see new development. I see new ideas. And I think it's truly special to see the exponential growth of the community. Erik, in your opinion, what do you think about the community growth, and how do you think it's going to perform in the next bull market, and well, in this bull market right now?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I think, like I said, for those of you who haven't been around, like this is a perfect storm right now. You know, this is exactly the way it was when Hex was like about to pop off. And like the community is super strong here, super strong. And it's not just speculators. It's not just crazy memes. It's also like actually a lot of people that care about tokenomics, a lot of people that care about game theory, a lot of people that care about what's going to happen in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years with the protocol, right? We have all these advanced dashboards, like that Mike Dean has built that help us see the future of the protocol. And so we're all like keeping our eye on the future, and we're all still motivated even when the price is way down. That's incredibly bullish, incredibly bullish. So I'm super bullish on TitanX. And I
Absolutely.
don't know if you noticed, but the exact game theory that like Jake had known about is like playing out in so many ways. Like, did you see the how the number of miners just started to rise as the price started to climb again? It's like clockwork, man. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
It's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I remember seeing how there's some things that he puts out on his Twitter where he talks about, first we have like a little bit of a price boom, then we
Yeah.
have the inflation come in, development team picks up, and then we go from hyperinflationary, hyper deflationary. So I think Jake is speaking a lot of this into existence. And the other thing I want to point out is I don't like bringing up negative stuff on live stream, but the one thing I want to point out is there's a lot of hate behind all the protocols in TitanX, and I'll briefly mention here and we can move on. And in my opinion, the hate is a byproduct of something revolutionary, something that's being built that's going to be revolutionary. So, for example, I got into Hex. I went all in when I was in grad school, and it turned out to be one of the greatest things. And I used that stuff to help set up my grandma so that she doesn't have to worry about finances anymore. And the one thing I saw was Hex was hated on, and I'm seeing the same hate with TitanX. TitanX and Hex are completely different, but you can see the same formula with a lot of these great protocols, and it's pretty evident. So I think ultimately we got a great formula. Everything's playing out. We got great developers like you adding awesome utility to the space, and man, I can't wait to see this protocol at the end of this year. I think it's going to be night and day difference when it comes to price action. So definitely kudos to you, man.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. And I think you're hitting on something really interesting, actually. And like this idea that like you're onto something if people don't like it at first, or if it gets hate at first, because that means you struck something. Like TitanX had it, Hex had it, DragonX had it too. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Like in the beginning, people were super. There was a large contingent of people that were against DragonX, and there still are some voices, but that disruptive aspect is there, right? And one thing you mentioned is like when something is new, people are afraid of it, right? Or they hate it. They put their blinders on, right? What Jake did was he created something new, right? He didn't try to build on Zen. He didn't try to like. There was some discussion about, oh, will he build on the Zen stuff? When you're doing something new and creative and first principles based, like that's where all the power is, you know, and that's where all the interesting stuff happens. And that's what TitanX did. And I like to think that's what DragonX did on top, to a lesser degree, obviously, because we were relying on that lower platform. But we looked at the first principles of what was possible, right? And that led us to DragonX, as opposed to thinking, how can we do something else, right? That is maybe like more of a duplicate of something else out there, right? Let's look at the system at its core. What are the functionalities and what is an interesting piece that we can kind of take to build our protocol on top of?
Wow, I love it. Believe it or not, that was actually my next question. I was going to ask you about when you decide to build DragonX. Now, you answer most of the question. Now, my follow-up question that is, when you thought about DragonX, did you have this idea before the launch of TitanX, or did you just come up with it as TitanX was being launched?
I came up with it as TitanX was being launched. Yeah, I was working on other crypto projects actually up until like TitanX launched. And I was initially thinking, yeah, like this is good to go. Like I had already seen what happened with Hex, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go in 280 and chill. But then it started to build and build, and there was a point in the mastermind when people were just like, it was at when the price was really collapsing and like there was a ton of inflation, where there was kind of a discussion around like, okay, well, if we're going to build on TitanX, like we should probably build on TitanX now. And I was considering launching something on TitanX a little bit before that, which is why there's a TitanX actually altcoins chat. It has like 500 people in it. But I actually created that on an alt profile called Dog of Titan. I don't know if you've seen that, but like, so Dog of Titan is the owner of that. And that's like, I was going to do a dog meme coin on TitanX at first, like really early on in TitanX, just to do it. And so I created that because I'm always thinking like, you know, 3 steps ahead, like, oh, I'll get people into this altcoin chat and then I'll launch my token and they'll be there and I won't have to like pollute the main chat with my token. But then I got busy with other things and I just basically never launched it. So that's why Dog of Titan is the admin of that chat. But then as things were really like kicking off with TitanX and we could see all the inflation coming out, then it came time to build. And that's when myself and the Blaze team and some other teams, like that was like the starting line for us to build.
That's awesome. And this is something I spoke about in the past live stream. The best time to build on TitanX is right now when it's inflationary and we have a bunch of tokens coming out. Because how I see this is I get the aspect that we're all in this together. We want to make TitanX this really great protocol, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be a certain underlining of competition between every single protocol to get the most TitanX, to burn the most TitanX, to get the most from the burn wallet address. And I think that with more project development and more projects launching on TitanX, once we hit that inflection point, which we'll talk about in a minute, not only will TitanX do its thing in price appreciation. I know you can't talk about price appreciation because you'll get hit. So don't feel like you have to talk about the price performance DragonX. But I also think on top of that, any project protocol built on top of TitanX will be another leverage or derivative towards TitanX, and those are going to appreciate exponentially as well. And so how I see it is any project protocol built on top of TitanX is a leverage play of a leverage play on Ethereum, which is very crazy and it's cool. And it's hard to wrap your head or it's hard to wrap your mind around. But for those of you guys who don't understand what I just said, I basically said that if you're going to make a bet on the price of Ethereum going up, this token has a higher risk but higher appreciation rate compared to the rest of the tokens on Ethereum. So it might be a great lottery ticket, so to speak, play on top of that. Not financial advice. I know I had to say that, but yeah. So let's unpack I know we've been talking about a lot of hypothetical stuff, and I love this conversation. This is awesome. Yeah, but let's get into the DragonX stuff because I think this is what a lot of people want to talk about. So before we get into that, can you just briefly give us a brief explanation of what DragonX is, the mechanics and the utility for anyone new to the DragonX protocol?
Yeah, so DragonX is a basically a giant benevolent staker in the TitanX ecosystem. And what the DragonX contract does is it has a launch phase, and it basically incentivizes people to create a giant single staking entity, and it does that by incentivizing them with a token called DragonX, which has basically a phased down launch phase where you get less and less DragonX for every TitanX, and that basically starts this snowball of compounding that the DragonX contract wants. And the reward that users get from that is that the staking rewards, half of the Ethereum staking rewards from the DragonX protocol, go to buy and burn the DragonX token off the market. It does that through the TitanX pair, so you're actually burning TitanX as well. But basically, that's DragonX in a nutshell. It's a giant compounding staker that you can't turn off and continues to compound and grow. And the people who started that snowball, they get a deflationary asset that is basically earning a piece of all the payouts in the system from new miners starting.
Gotcha. I think it's really cool using this benevolent will aspect, and it ties back to the beginning when you talk about how robots are better than staking than humans. And I think you're really emphasizing this through the DragonX protocol, and it's truly fascinating. Now, one thing I want to ask you about, basically, the TitanX staking is the center point of the DragonX protocol, where you're going to be utilizing this benevolent whale. How did you come up with this concept, and how do you think this is going to impact retail traders within TitanX, like the smaller guys?
How did I come up with DragonX concept?
Well, the staking protocol, utilizing the staking concept, so that you use like the ETH to buy up TitanX and also to burn it. Like, how did you come up with that concept?
Yeah. So like I said, I was looking at all the mechanics of TitanX and seeing, basically trying to find the most powerful lever for another token on top of it. So I didn't start by looking at, how much TitanX necessarily could I burn? Although I think it did end up being potentially the protocol that will burn the most TitanX. I was looking at, and I wasn't looking at any priors. I wasn't looking at any other projects that I thought would map over to TitanX necessarily. Instead, I was looking at what is the biggest lever for another token on top, and kind of where, like, so for example, you have all this Ethereum leaving the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the greatest benefit to the system as well? Well, it's the place of the highest leverage, right? Where if you can capture that Ethereum, then you can basically get that reinvested into TitanX and continue to perpetuate the system. So yeah, I guess I was kind of looking around at everything possible on TitanX, and I landed on this. And it seems like some other teams have also landed on it. So I think it was eventually going to be built on. For those of you haters who are like sad about DragonX taking away the pool, like, ultimately it's a pretty simple mechanic. I think that one thing that I might have done differently is that I decided to compound the system rather than just creating, like, say, a giant one-time staker. Instead, you have infinite staking, and you have this compounding aspect. And I think that's super powerful with DragonX, because unlike other protocols that may also utilize the staking pool, DragonX is actually constantly increasing its position. It doesn't just create a position; it also actively and constantly increases its own position in the system.
Right. No, and these are great points, and this actually goes into the next thing I was just conceptualizing. So the big thing with the staking pool was I've seen this happen before. There's a project called Super Stake. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but you're basically with Hex. It's a reflection token, accumulates a bunch of Hex, and it does these 90-day rolling payouts. And so if you own a certain amount of Super Stake tokens, you get paid out that 90-day Hex stake. Now, I've seen this happen before, and so far the team has been extremely successful in the development of this concept of a benevolent whale staking. And when you guys brought it on and proposed this project idea, in my opinion, I thought it was a great idea, because the one thing that TitanX needs during this inflationary period is more projects to act as a buy and burn. And what I noticed with DragonX was you guys have 3 places of buy and burn. Number 1 is the actual buy and burn address that you talk about in your white paper. Number 2 is Uniswap version 3 fees when you're swapping from DragonX to TitanX. And then sorry, I said that was number 2. And then number 3 is benevolent whale that's continuing to buy up that TitanX, stake it, and then continue restaking it into the future. So how I see this is you're basically seeing another 3 deflationary pressures on top of TitanX. And when TitanX goes from hyperinflationary to hyperdeflationary, that's when you're going to see that inflection point hit. Erik, do you agree with that statement?
I agree, and you missed the 4th. Do you know what the 4th deflationary mechanism is?
What is
DragonX? You're taking ETH away from people so they can't start new miners. So you're also reducing the future supply.
Oh, that's a very good point. I didn't think about that one. I like that. So there's 4. Wow. That's a cool one. I like that one. I like that one.
Credit to Jake. Actually, Jake mentioned that about DragonX. Credit to Jake for that. Yeah.
Cool.
But I think it's fantastic. It's a brilliant way of thinking about it because you're decreasing the supply of TitanX in so many levels with this protocol.
Right. Now, based on what we just talked about there, I want to bring something up that I've spoken about on live stream before. So I think the last big one we had was the day 90 payout, where I believe the DragonX protocol got right around, I think it was like $750,000 worth of ETH. And that was utilized in the basically that was a way to ramp up and get the project protocol going. And so far, you guys had a pretty great launch. Do you think that's a fair assessment? You guys had a good launch with DragonX?
Definitely, yeah. It went very well. Yeah.
So here's what I'm eyeing right now. And this is something I want every single one of you guys to pay specific attention to. It's going to be day 369. So right after TitanX's birthday, we're going to have the 369-day payout. And the reason why this is important is because right now it's sitting at about $5 million, 2,500 ETH. And so we're going to have DragonX out, and then I'll shout out some other protocols like Helios and gosh, there's a bunch of them. I need to go through and look at all of them, but we're gonna have a bunch of protocols being launched on top of it, and a lot of them are utilizing the staking pool. When we get to day 369, there's a good chance that we're gonna see the inflation of TitanX decrease. On top of that, day 369 payout hits, and then we're gonna see a lot of this ETH being injected to use to buy up TitanX, burn it off the market, stake it, whatever. And then that's when we're going to see a huge kick in the system where we're going to see TitanX go absolutely deflationary. Erik, what's your opinion on this statement?
I think it's a very good point. And I think you're touching on something really interesting with this idea of an inflection point. And this actually may be the inflection point. Because if you think about how many sellers will be exhausted at this point, and then this massive payout gets taken out. And by then, by then, DragonX could have 50% of the share pool. 50% of that could go right back into buy and burn for TitanX. And then if other protocols are also buying and burning TitanX, either through their own tokens or directly, then this could absolutely be then the moment of inflection for TitanX to start going up big time.
Right. And
no one knows.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, no one knows for sure. No one has a crystal ball.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the point I was trying to get across, guys, is my main point is I rather see that ETH being used to support TitanX appreciation rather than some of it leaving the system. And something like this was going to happen in the future, but overall, it's going to be extremely beneficial to the entire ecosystem as a whole. And that's why I really like DragonX. And that's why I like all these other protocols coming on top and instituting some similar features. Now, let's go on to my next question. So we're going to get up to day 280. There's a lot of concern about day 280 in the TitanX protocol. In your opinion, how do you think DragonX is going to perform once we hit to right around day 280? And how do you think DragonX is going to help the entire TitanX ecosystem? You don't have to get into token appreciation.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, DragonX is absorbing a lot of supply. Like if you go to app.titanx.win, you can see that basically there's build on Titan protocol section now. That section is mostly DragonX, like if not all DragonX. Probably 90% DragonX contribution. So you can already kind of see basically the impact that DragonX is having on the supply. It's like almost half of what the buy and burn has done, right? Or a third of what the basic, like the core buy and burn mechanic has done for the protocol. DragonX has already contributed a huge amount, and that's only going to continue to increase as these payouts continue to come in and DragonX continues to burn TitanX. So the amount of tokens in DragonX is enormous. And by the way, guys, if you haven't participated, I do think DragonX is worth participating in. Now, that's not financial advice, but the reason why we have so much is because a lot of people realized that they can pump the price of TitanX and DragonX, and they can remove inflation from the market while getting an equivalent token. And that's the value proposition that the contract provides to you. So, that's why it's definitely there. That's the community's action there, right? All I did was deploy some code to the internet, but that's the community realizing the power of this new kind of buy and burn system that we have in DragonX. And when it comes to 280, the V1 buy and burn is there. I would say that the V1 is there probably to keep things sane over the course of that like 280-day period when there'll be a lot of supply coming out. But that 280-day, if I'm not mistaken, is actually comparable to the January day that we had, right?
Yes, I believe so. Wait, the January day, you talking about January 1st? Or
I don't know, there was a big day like in January.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you. Yeah. I need to look at it, but are you saying yeah, so a huge amount hit the market and it's going to be a similar byproduct on day 280 is what you're saying?
Exactly. So like it's not an unprecedented event. I wouldn't necessarily be too afraid because it's not like here it is right here. Yeah, on the 18th, 17th of January. Where's that 18th of January? 18th of January. Is it the same number of miners like came due? Or more actually. So basically like I wouldn't worry too much about that day because it's not unprecedented. Like the community has already handled that inflation, like that level of inflation, which is a super good sign, right? And by then there'll be even more protocols launched. The V1 and V2 will have even more. DragonX will just be there chewing away at the price. So I wouldn't be concerned about 280 at all. I think it's going to be probably people are going to FUD it too much and it's just going to come and go, is my guess.
Great points. I think also on top of that, when day 280 comes in, that's when I think we're going to get close from hyperinflationary to hyperdeflationary. So in my opinion, I actually get pretty excited. That I'm actually excited for that day because I know we're going to see a lot of magic happen there on after that. Plus, we might have Hyper and Shogun out at that point, which is going to be really, really cool. So, yeah, but we don't have to get too far deep in that anymore. I think we covered that real good. So one thing I want to talk to you about is the DragonX inflation. I went through the white paper. I discussed it a little bit, and I stated my opinion. And I want to talk to you about my opinion about the DragonX inflation. So, essentially, how the inflation works, and actually, let me just pull up the white paper just for anybody new, because I find that I get a lot of new people in the TitanX always come on live streams. So, long story short, how DragonX performs is you can mint DragonX 1-to-1 starting on week 1, week 2, and then on week 3 it decreases by 5% going on to the future. And then once we get to week 12 or after day 84, no more DragonX can be minted through TitanX, and then that's when we're going to start to see DragonX go deflationary. Now, in my opinion, when I first looked at this, I said, okay, probably when it comes to game theory, I definitely want to get a big bag right around week 8, week 9, or week 10, because that's when we get closer to that deflationary event. But also, I just got back from vacation, and I'm seeing that we got some nice price appreciation on DragonX, and we guys have a little bit of a boom. So it looks like that week 3 5% decrease is having an impact on DragonX. Erik, in your opinion, do you think the DragonX inflation is going to be a problem going on into the future?
Absolutely not. No, I think it's the DragonX inflation is going to be a non-issue. Well, because first of all, it ends after like 10 more weeks for the life of the protocol. That's it. After that, we're like a store of value on top of TitanX. So it will trade at a premium. I think that if you look at the declining rate and how closely we're matching the TitanX price, I think there's good evidence that we're going to divert, that the DragonX will diverge as planned. And if that's going to happen, then I don't think there's a reason to stop minting if you're not in and you want to get in later, because I would suspect, and again, I don't want to go into price forecasts. Nobody knows, right? Like expect nothing, but like I would imagine the DPEG is going to be a significantly volatile period in time for the protocol, and I don't think that it's going to underperform TitanX when that DPEG occurs. So like if you come in late, you get 5% less or whatever, or 10% less or 15% less, whatever. But like it will be very interesting to see what happens when that DPEG occurs. I wouldn't be too concerned about it.
Yeah. I like how you use the term DPEG, and that's something I want to dive into in a future live stream. So DPEG, that's cool, because right now, this is just me thinking, you have DragonX as a function of the price of TitanX, and as you slowly have a decrease in the amount of DragonX that can be minted 5% over time, it's probably going to go up like a little bit of a staircase, and then once we get past that initial minting phase of DragonX, then the price is going to differentiate from DragonX TitanX. And you don't have to get into that, because I don't want you to get in trouble. But I'm just expressing my opinion to everyone on the live stream. Now, as for the buy and burn, this is my next question. So I see you guys have like the buy and burn set up on top of the benevolent whale buying up the TitanX token. As for the buy and burn, how do those buy and burns come into effect? Is it based off of like a period of time? Is it like a random algorithm? Can you just break that down for me?
Which buy and burn? There are two buy and burns. The TitanX buy and burn is
sorry, the DragonX one.
Well, yeah, in DragonX, there's a TitanX buy and burn, and there's a DragonX buy and burn. There's like a direct buy of TitanX with Ethereum, and then there's a buy and burn of DragonX through the TitanX pair. So for the TitanX one, I mean, this gets into like the kind of like you kind of have to assume what's best for the protocol, I guess, right?
Right.
So like just making some assumptions, like like as an outside observer, DragonX gains its it gains in the share pool by staking as much TitanX as fast as possible, assuming that it hits that like bonus. So I mean, I think that TitanX, that the DragonX that's buying for staking would want to get it in pretty fast without pushing the price up against itself. So
okay,
I mean that would make the most sense, right?
Gotcha. Yeah. I think yeah, so I poorly worded that question. I think what I was asking is you're 100% correct on the buy TitanX for the DragonX vault. Got that.
Yeah.
I think the main thing I was focusing on the buy and burn of the DragonX token in of itself. So hypothetically, would that be a very long, drawn out period of DragonX slowly getting burned off of the market? It won't be all in like 1 month or 1 week. I think that was my question.
Well, let me ask you, why do you think the buy and burn? Because a lot of people have said, oh, the buy and burn on DragonX is too strong right now. We're going to run out.
Right.
Why do you think? I mean, if you had to speculate, why do you think the buy and burn is where it is right now on buy and burn DragonX?
If I had to speculate, I think right now where it's at right now, it's sustainable based on the adoption of the protocol and based on how how much users are using it, and I think that as of right now, it's probably sustainable. And if it gets to the point where it's in trouble, it could be turned down. That's what I think.
I think it's a fair way of looking at it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if think of it this way, like if you expect the price, the thing is the two are bonded, right? TitanX and DragonX. So like if you expect that the price of DragonX will continue to diverge from TitanX and become more expensive, then it seems to me like the best time to buy DragonX would be now before it continues to diverge. Because actually you're probably getting it at the cheapest deal. I mean, you may be getting it. It could also go down and DragonX could fall apart. No one knows. But it could be, this is the cheapest that DragonX will ever be. That's another potential consideration, right? There's two outcomes. Either DragonX falls apart and just continues to degrade against TitanX performance, or the mechanisms that are in place actually lead to higher and higher, a more favorable ratio in the pools for DragonX, in which case you would want to take the DragonX off the market at the lowest price.
Gotcha.
Right? So there's nobody knows what the price of DragonX will be in the future, right? Like this whole thing could collapse and everything like that, but you could consider that if you were thinking about why the buy and burns are set the way they are.
Okay. Yeah, no, I absolutely. And I get what you're saying. I was just curious because I think what's interesting about DragonX is how it sets up these arbitrage pools between how it sets up these liquidity pools between TitanX, and then you have several burning mechanics between the DragonX token, whether it's through actually burning the DragonX token or buying up TitanX and staking it. And on top of that, you also have what's going on with the TitanX protocol. So with these fluctuations in price of TitanX and DragonX, you're creating these massive arbitrage opportunities, which is actually increasing the buy and burn. Well, excuse me, it's increasing the burning of the TitanX token. And it's something I talk a little bit on my past live stream. So I was just curious to dive into the mechanics of that. Now,
yeah, for sure. I mean, so for people who don't get the arbitrage thing, like as the price of DragonX goes up relative to TitanX, then an arbitrage opportunity emerges where someone can mint DragonX and then sell it down for more TitanX than what they minted it for. So that's an arb cycle, right? That can potentially incentivize people to put more into the DragonX contract.
Absolutely.
I think Jake talked about that on his stream with you, right?
Yeah. And if it's cool with you, I'm gonna draw a quick diagram. That's cool with you, man.
Go for it.
I gotta say, man, my Picassos are awesome, and I'm gonna retire and be an artist because of that stuff. So this is the one thing I talk about. So assume these circles are each token, right? And then we'll say this is TitanX right here, and then we have another LP, which is going to be TitanX. And then we have, oh wow, I'm just gonna say drag for this one.
DX. People say DXTX in my Telegram.
All right, let's do that one. Just make it a little bit simpler. So DX. You said DXTS.
TX for TitanX, DragonX and TitanX.
Okay, so DX. All right, so basically, what we're going to be having is in this pool, you have one price of TitanX, right? And so this is a $. In this pool between DX and TitanX, you have another price of TitanX. Now, what is happening right now is you have multiple deflationary components coming in. So you have a BNB right here. You have a BNB right here. And then you have a benevolent wealth staking right here in this LP. So we'll say staking.
But what for the BNB? The DragonX buy and burn. So the DragonX buy and burn goes through TitanX.
Gotcha.
Is that what you're?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me get rid of that then. Let's get rid of this. So
That's right. I mean, it does eventually burn DragonX, but it just goes through TitanX DragonX to get that DragonX.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I need to correct that on future live stream because I think I messed that up. So my bad about that one. All right. So basically, you have these deflationary pressures here, and what's going to happen is the price of TitanX is going to go up and down on each of these pools. Now, here's where things get interesting with arbitrage. So let's say this is just a hypothetical. It's not. I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. But let's say TitanX is $2 in this pool without doing all the zeros and making confusing. And let's say it's $1 in this pool. Well, what can happen is someone can come into, and this is a hypothetical. Someone can come into this pool, purchase TitanX for $2, and then sell it into the ETH TitanX pool, and then basically make 100% ROI on their money using this arbitrage opportunity. Now, when that happens, you're going to have fees between each of these pools through versions 3 Uniswap, and that's what's going to really burn a lot of TitanX and also I believe DragonX as well off the market. You think that's a fair assessment, Erik?
The fees are coming through the TitanX DragonX pool, and they are burned. That is correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
but the thing is, and actually, this is something that TitanX did right that I think we could have done better with DragonX, and it's definitely food for thought for future launches. But we basically Genesis didn't provide a ton of liquidity at all because it was kind of clear because there's a 1-in-1 that people would have the opportunity to make LP fees by bringing in both tokens. So there wasn't really a need for a lot of liquidity. Now, the drawback to that is that the contract doesn't own the majority of the trading fees. So as a result, you get basically less burning on the LP than you otherwise would. So that's just, and that can be ameliorated by basically having the initial mints actually feed the LP. But the thing is, we wanted those initial mints to go toward the DragonX vault to be staked.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, it's a bit challenging there, but so fees aren't super significant right now for DragonX Titan.
Gotcha. Okay, understood. Cool. Now, we went through a lot of theory. We talked a lot of really great stuff. Now, let's talk about what everyone's so interested about. I heard from a little birdie told me, aka something was just sent over to me, these DragonX hybrid NFTs. This sounds absolutely sick. I did a little brief overview, just looking at what's going on. Erik, can you give us a brief breakdown of what's going on with this? And feel free to, you don't have to tell us everything, but give us a little taste of what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. So as I said before, DragonX is kind of set up to be the store of value on TitanX because of the deep liquidity between the two pairs and the capped nature of DragonX, and the fact that DragonX is basically bought and burned with using the same mechanic. It takes the adoption mechanic of TitanX, but with none of the inflation. We're kind of set up pretty well to be like the store of value on top of TitanX. This NFT strategy is a really good way to store tokens and to trade tokens OTC. So I think the two go hand in hand, right? It's kind of a pro feature. Like if you're holding liquid DragonX, then that's fine. Don't feel like you need to use this, but it's something for people who are interested to take a look at. It's basically adapted from Bozo Finance. I don't know. Are you familiar with Bozo Finance?
No, I'm not.
No, it's a Solana meme coin that uses this hybrid trading model where users can basically create NFTs. And what they do is they need a certain amount of a fixed supply of the token to create the NFT, to trade it on the NFT markets. As more users come in to basically buy Bozo and the price goes up, then every time these NFTs are redeemed, then the NFT is destroyed, the user gets back their tokens and they sell. So then all those tokens are distributed. among more players. So it gets harder and harder to compose, theoretically harder and harder to compose a Bozo hybrid NFT. And so the effect of that is that the NFT price floor just keeps going up and up and up. And so people want to get that NFT to sell it. So they need to buy Bozo off the market, and it's a virtuous cycle, right?
Right.
And if you look at the Bozo chart, it's just insane. I mean, it's up like 400x or something like that.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And it might have retraced by now, but it was up really high. So what's cool about DragonX is that there isn't just like a theoretical, like lack of supply because more people are coming in to buy it. There's actually less supply because of the buy and burn. So this mechanic is like perfectly suited for DragonX, if that makes sense, because it's actually like programmed deflation because of the buy and burn.
Right. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So basically, you have a similar mechanic where like people can create these NFTs to store their value and trade them OTC or on NFT markets, and it gets harder and harder to get the DragonX to basically create new ones. So it should be interesting.
No, this is interesting because it seems like you're adding vertical integration to DragonX. Now, this comes back to something I learned with the whole Zen community. I'm not sitting here hating on Zen. I think, X1 has some really great capabilities going in the future. But the one thing that I did not like is there's so many projects, so many tokens, and it really impacted the ecosystem negatively, in my opinion. Now, what I like about what you guys are doing is you're creating these hybrid NFTs to do vertical integration where you build on top of the protocol and you add utility that basically not only benefits DragonX, but if it benefits DragonX, it leads back to TitanX. Erik, do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, I think token exhaustion is definitely a real thing. I think there was probably also some other stuff going on with Zen, like maybe there was just too much inflation and it just swamped the system, and then people stopped caring. And then it feels like there's too many protocols because there's just too much inflation and there's no price movement. And so people are like, well, it's kind of like a heat death. Whereas like in TitanX, I don't think you're going to see that because like you said, there's going to be an inflection point. And so there'll be a lot of games to play on top of TitanX. And I think people will be happy because the price will be probably better. I don't know. No one knows. But I think that there definitely is a token exhaustion situation that could occur.
Right. Absolutely. Now, getting into the NFTs. So I know you've been following Richard for a minute. I've been following him for a long time. Yeah. Richard doesn't like NFTs. He doesn't like pixelated images of monkeys. But
yeah, for sure.
We're starting to see the development of new approach of NFTs. Do you think the DragonX hybrid NFT that you guys are creating in the background, do you think this is going to be a new approach to NFTs in the future?
Yeah, I mean, NFTs have some functional value. Like, not all NFTs are simply art. For example, like a Uniswap V3 LP position is represented by an NFT. So like there are functional NFTs in crypto that provide value. And I think that this will be one of those because it's basically another way of, of representing your value on chain that you have in your custody that you created in a sense. So actually that's okay. I'm good. Thanks. So yeah, basically like, I don't think it's one of those NFTs where it's just people gambling on an image. There's like a very specific kind of mechanic that's like, and there's actual DragonX tokens locked in the contract. So it's not like you're burning your DragonX and you're getting like a JPEG. You're actually like the person who holds the NFT can withdraw the DragonX at any time.
Okay. Yeah. So
I think functional NFTs are always going to have a place in crypto. Like, I think it makes sense. I think that's part of the reason why they were added, to the Ethereum spec, is because there is actually quite a few use cases there for real NFTs.
Okay. So just breaking this down for anyone new to DragonX and this new approach to NFTs. So basically you have a certain amount of DragonX that you can swap for 5 categories of NFTs. And using that, you possess a DragonX NFT. Now, the DragonX that you use to swap for the NFT, where does it go exactly?
So users are basically locking that in a contract.
Okay.
And then they're issued, the contract issues them an NFT, which is a representation of those tokens. And then they can trade the representation of those tokens on a secondary market. And then the owner of that NFT can go back and they can withdraw those tokens from the contract.
Oh.
So you can think of it like it's like a lockbox, like it's like a safety deposit box, you know, and the person who has the key to get in can get in.
Okay.
Right, to the tokens.
So it's like a form of DragonX staking, right?
It's not really staking. Well, I mean, if it's definitely staked. Is it definitely staked? It's deposited. It's all like language we're talking about now, like semantics. But you're basically locking the tokens in a contract. If you consider that to be staking, then yes. I mean, when I think of staking, I think of like there's a functional reason behind putting up the tokens. Like you're doing it for consensus, or you're doing it to earn yield or something like that. Whereas like here, you're basically using like DragonX Hybrid is like a safety deposit box for your NFTs. You can trade the safety deposit box, the access card to the safety deposit box, right? So it's kind of like that.
Gotcha. Okay, I gotcha. And so
no yield. You don't earn yield or anything like that.
Okay, so when these, wait, you say you don't earn yield?
You don't earn yield. No, it's not a yield bearing thing.
Okay,
It's
I got
you. Represent. Yeah.
Okay, so I got you. So basically, you have this TitanX. It's basically building an NFT market that can be utilized for basically just free market principles to see you know, people can trade NFTs back and forth. It also utilizes so explain the you mentioned deflationary mechanics behind the NFT. Can you explain that to me again one more time?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so think of it this way: like you have a token, and in order to create the NFT, you need to have a certain number of these tokens,
Right?
and that number is fixed. So as the token becomes more scarce, it's more and more difficult to compose one of those NFTs, to lock the requisite amount of tokens in the contract to actually get one of those NFTs. So the price to create a new NFT goes up, assuming that the price of the asset that composes the NFT goes up. Now, in a speculative system, that's a bigger assumption than in DragonX, where we have Ethereum payouts that are removing DragonX from the market forever, right? Because of that, it gets harder and harder, theoretically harder. I mean, of course, everyone could dump all their DragonX, not financial advice, and then the price would be super low, and then it would be easy to compose them again. But overall, less and less DragonX exists on the market after the mint phase is over time. So you could see basically a price floor be set in, where the token gets harder and harder to obtain because it's more expensive. Therefore, it's harder to create an NFT. So why would people on NFT markets sell for any less than the cost of creating a new one, right? And as these tokens get removed from the market, they get more and more scarce. So the floor price keeps going up.
Gotcha. Okay. It just clicked now. Okay. Sorry, that took a minute for me. I'm sorry about that, man. No, I really sorry, go ahead.
It's all theoretical. Like none of this is determined by an actor of any kind. That's what's really cool about it. Like a lot of these are just like economic theories that are basically playing out, and we're all watching it. Like I'm not controlling any of this. This is all done on chain, you know?
Right.
There's no team controlling any of this.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this. When you got a new approach and something revolutionary, it takes a minute for people to wrap their head around. You get a little bit of hate, and then finally, when it comes out, we start to see what the real deal is. So, I really like this approach. I think developing a secondary NFT market on top of DragonX is going to be another leverage play on top of DragonX. And I also think that this is going to be a great experiment on how this approach to NFTs is going to perform, especially in a free market concept on the blockchain. Erik, what's your thoughts on that statement?
Yeah, definitely. It's actually like I've noticed a few bigger Bozo Twitter accounts are starting to tweet about us because it's like Bozo did it first, and we're kind of like we're validating. Like we're gonna see if we can validate that assumption, the assumptions that they've made that have worked out so well for them, right? So like it's this hybrid NFT model. It's pretty interesting. It's kind of cool. So like I'm interested to see it working for DragonX, and you might see other tokens adopt it too, for sure.
This is cool, man. This is really cool, man. You got me all excited now because I'm gonna go through this because usually takes me about 5 or 6 hours to really conceptualize this, but I think the two biggest takeaways. I want to ask you one thing about Bozo, but after this statement, but the two biggest takeaways that I really like about this is number one, vertical integration. You guys are adding to DragonX, you're adding to TitanX in a positive way. And then number two is this concept of a hybrid NFT that's been similarly replicated to Bozo, but you bring it on the TitanX ecosystem. You're targeting an audience that's already familiar with it, and you're also utilizing it behind the DragonX protocol, which already has a bunch of utility behind it. So I think this is going to be very interesting when we start to see DragonX go deflationary. And I think we're going to see something interesting happen with the NFT market. And I'm really excited to dive into this because me personally, I never really got into NFTs, but now I think I got good reason to.
Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, have a look. And like, guys, DragonX is here for forever. So don't feel rushed. That's what I try to tell people. Like, don't be aping into things you don't understand, guys. Go into my Telegram and like read the articles that I post about how Uniswap works, how LP works. Make sure you understand this stuff before you ape in.
Right. And the other thing I also really emphasize is that when it comes to all these other altcoins on top of TitanX, I support every project that builds on top of TitanX and tries to do something to support the ecosystem. But also, if you're good with just TitanX and you want to stay on that side, I completely understand. But like Erik said, is you definitely want to educate yourself. There's nothing wrong with just playing around and just seeing how it works and not betting your entire basket on everything. Not financial advice, but ultimately educate yourself first. Really understand what's being built, and then on top of that, make a plan and then do it. And I think Erik has done a great job educating. He's done a great job on outreach. He's been on Mike Dean's live stream. Have you live streamed with Crypto Kindness at all?
Yep.
So you live stream with Crypto Kindness. I think you're using that Richard Heart model that Jake is also utilizing, and you're really promoting the growth of DragonX, and I'm excited to see what's up. So outside of that, go ahead. Sorry.
I just said thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And outside of that, let's see if I got any other questions that came to mind. Yeah, I think that's it. And as for Bozo Finance, I don't know too much about it. I'm gonna research that just so that I have a better understanding. I don't like to comment on things that I truly don't understand.
Yep.
But from your experience with Bozo Finance, has that really been blowing up on Solana?
I mean, yeah, you can look at the chart. It's
Yeah, let's
insane.
take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally did not participate, but I just thought it was a cool model, and like actually our DragonX lead dev, it was his idea to integrate this, and I think it's a great idea. It's a really great idea for us because of our deflationary aspect. Like I don't think it wouldn't have the power. It wouldn't have the same power on an inflationary token, I don't think. Because there'd be a lot more supply coming out. But it really goes well with our token.
Awesome. Yeah, let me take a let's just take a brief look at this because I'm really interested to take a look at this real quick. Let's see if it'll come up. Wi-Fi's crazy right now. Go through a couple questions. I see a lot of people asking some questions right now.
Yep.
Cool. Cool. What's up, good guy? Good to see you. Awesome having you in the chat, man. Z-Bar, man, this guy's all over Twitter, man. I love Z-Bar. Good dude. Shout out to the DragonX fam. Good to see you. Orion, always good to have you in here. Good stuff. Red Leaf, huge fan. So is Jake. Difficult not to make the move to DragonX. I love it, man. Good stuff, man. Will you be able to sell your DragonX NFTs in the TitanX market? Would it be beneficial to be able to borrow against it? So the TitanX market, I believe that's a new protocol built on top of TitanX, correct?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what he means by borrow against it, but we don't have to get into that. But like, I think the first part of the question, will you be able to sell your DragonX NFTs in TitanX market?
No,
Okay.
not that I'm aware of, although that is a very interesting idea that I had not considered.
Okay.
So I can talk to the guys at TitanX Market about that. But yeah, that's quite interesting. Are they even doing NFT sales, or is it just miners and stakes?
I'm not
sure about that. But.
I'm not really sure because I personally haven't jumped in the protocol because I know you guys came out and y'all did your launch and I was focused on that, and then we've seen like 10 to 12 other project protocols, so I got a whole list of stuff to dive into. But I think like you guys will be able to be accessed on like open seas, right, to sell the new hybrid NFTs, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm sure like they'll be on a couple different marketplaces. I'm not sure which one it'll land on for most people, but yeah, they should be available somewhere.
Oh, this is actually my other question I meant to ask you. So have any teams approached you to build on DragonX? Is DragonX on Launchpad?
It's not a Launchpad, but there are several teams building on top of DragonX. Yes, there are at least 2 teams building on top of DragonX.
Wow,
possibly 3.
That's awesome, man. So you got 2 to 3 project teams building on top of DragonX, and so that means there's probably going to be a main LP between whatever said project token and DragonX, and then you have a main LP between DragonX and TitanX. So the arbitrage opportunities are going to be absolutely insane. That's just my first thought.
Yeah, I'm sure people will be messing around there, trading those, and yeah, it's going to be great because I think the great thing about DragonX for other protocols is the DragonX Vault. And the DragonX Vault is just something anybody can use. Like Genesis used it to basically, Genesis had all of this TitanX, but it can't impact the price of TitanX before DragonX came along, which gave it the ability to use its liquid TitanX to actually hold the price of TitanX up. Right. So Genesis kind of recognized the power of the DragonX Vault, and other people are also recognizing the power of basically you send directly to the vault, and that TitanX gets burned and staked forever, and it will always help prop up the price of TitanX. And if your token is paired with DragonX, then you're actually pumping your token, right? Because the buy and burn goes into DragonX too. So you're capturing the gains of TitanX and DragonX, which is a derivative on top of TitanX. You're capturing those gains in your token if you build on top of DragonX and pair with DragonX. So there's a big amplifier for your token if you choose to do that.
Awesome. This is actually a question I asked Jake on, I think, the 3rd live stream we did together, but I think this would be a great question for you. So in your opinion, what kind of project protocols would you like to see being built on top of DragonX or launched on top of DragonX?
Yeah, well, there are a couple of protocols already launching, and their ideas are totally unique from what I would. But actually, there's one protocol I'm very excited about. Won't mention it now, but yeah, I would say that one of the protocols is what I would have built next. I have to say, like in terms of building on top of DragonX, because I think it does play to the store of value aspect of DragonX. What else would I build? I can't really say what else I would have built. I think definitely there's a place for a meme coin on DragonX, because like I said, you don't actually need a lot of complicated mechanics to have a really theoretically well-performing token. Just because you can adopt the minting mechanism of DragonX, which means it's basically a ratcheting up price mechanism. and you can adopt the derivative kind of leverage play on TitanX aspect to DragonX with your own token. So it's pretty easy to have an awesome meme coin that uses DragonX. And so I think that's an obvious play as well, would be a DragonX meme coin. And yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, anything else off the top of my head.
Gotcha.
That would go in it.
I know meme coins are 50-50 with most people is what I find. You either really like it or you don't. And I think meme coins are very great marketing use cases for a lot of ecosystems. Great example, the teddy bear token with Pulsechain. That thing brought so many eyes to Pulsechain. It's crazy. So I believe there's also another TitanX meme coin. I'm not going to mention it right now because I haven't dove into it. I haven't looked at it, but I could definitely see a meme coin launching on top of DragonX. And I don't know anything. I haven't been discussed with anyone. That this is just a prediction in my opinion. So some positive stuff here. Margaritas Anta Porcos. I found a new respect for Erik. I love it, dude. Love positivity, man.
Thanks, man.
Boy, Mike Dean's in the chat. Shout out to Mike Dean. Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for all the stuff you build on top of it, on top of TitanX when it comes to on-chain analytics. I use it every single day. I think it's good. Keep up the good work, man. And if you guys haven't followed Mike Dean, please check him out on Twitter and YouTube.
Mike actually asked a question, is there a limit on NFTs created? There's not a limit. It's determined by the ability to basically create the NFT based on how much DragonX is available. Good question, though.
Gotcha. All right, let's see. Awesome. Shout out to Bass Sports. Great to have you in the house. Good stuff. Let's see if we got any question. Man, we got a lot of comments here. I'm gonna make sure I get through any of the big questions we need to ask.
Hey Matt, thank you for the call out.
Yep. Let's see. All right, so this is a question I get. I'm holding some DragonX. What will be the in supply estimate? I think that's a function based off of how much TitanX hits the market and also how many people mint via DragonX. So I don't think there could be a forecasted supply. What do you think about that, Erik?
Yeah, nobody knows what the final supply will be. You could, if you wanted to, you could run a forecast. You could run a expectation based on the amount that has been minted, and maybe you see what you can determine. But there's no real way of knowing that.
I think that's like a really golden question. I mean, Revo, if you find a way to create a model just like Erik was saying, that would be absolutely awesome. Be really, really cool. So I did think about this a couple of times on my plane ride back, and yeah, it's very hard to say. So
yeah, there are some interesting things I'd like to see in terms of metrics for DragonX. Like for example, total amount burnt. I guess we have that, but it would be nice to see it in more graphical form. It would be cool to see how much of the staking pool that we are taking, basically, and showing that maybe even over time would be cool. So yeah, I mean, you could also show on a chart like the price divergence and line that up with the minting phase to see if there's actually like a price divergence happening, or you can also see how the prices are diverging in a chart once the mint phase is over to see the depeg actually happening.
Right. And I think the depeg is going to be also another golden question, just like I talk about the inflection point with TitanX. I think that's going to be a very interesting day for TitanX because I really like the store value capabilities behind it. And it reminds me of the number go up theory we talked about earlier, but we won't get into the price forecast. So
yeah, I'm surprised people haven't yet latched onto the depegging that's going to be happening in 10 weeks, but it's definitely a thing.
Oh yeah. I'm excited, man. I'm so excited because I love so you're a founder and you build stuff that's going to be extremely useful and it's going to really change lives. I'm kind of a bamboon. I'm kind of dumb and I just like to go around and speculate and touch stuff. And for me, I'm always like trying to find the next big thing to blow up so I can brag about it on Twitter. I'm just kidding. I'm not like that. But what I see with DragonX, and this is another point I want to throw out there, is the project protocols I look for are the ones that nobody's talking about, are the ones that just hit you in the face because those appreciate extremely quickly. And that's what we saw with TitanX. That's what we saw with PDI and Atropa. That's what we saw with PTGC. And the one thing I want to say about DragonX is this is one of those protocols where one day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, what is going on? Why is it all over Twitter? Why are so many people talking about it? Why wasn't I looking at it? And the main point I'm trying to get across from an analytics perspective and from an investor standpoint, you need to be looking at where other people aren't looking. And that's what I achieved to do. So just like with Erik's development, he's developing projects that not other people are creating. DragonX is very, very unique compared to any other project I saw, and that's where I see it being a huge gem. So that was my opinion. My apologies for going on a massive rant.
Thanks, bro. No, that's a really big call out. So I really appreciate that. And I agree. Like, I think DragonX, just to do a hard shell of DragonX, like I think DragonX combines all the best tokenomics that you could combine and uses TitanX in basically the optimal way for a token. So yeah, I'm super excited about the future of DragonX as well.
Absolutely. And oh yeah, hey, and Z-Bar, I will definitely invite you on to do a live stream in the future. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but yes, you're always more than welcome to come on. And then you answer Mike Dean's question from earlier. Good stuff.
Mike, when are we gonna get that dashboard, that DragonX dashboard? Don't need to put you on the spot, but I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hope Mike puts that. That'll be cool. Shout out to Viber Finance. Adam's in the chat. Oh, I love this one. Goo got too much Giga Chat energy in the comments. I love that one. Cool. Let's see what else we got here. Any questions? Cool. I think we're good to go. We got a lot of good questions, got a lot of comments, interactions. So outside of that, man, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on this live stream. I'm really glad that we did this. I want to apologize for not getting this set up sooner. I think you have a really great protocol. I think you're extremely intelligent, and I think that you'll be a great asset to the TitanX ecosystem. And I'm really excited to see what you build in the future and how DragonX performs overall in this bull market. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you for offering your platform up for my project and all the great work you do in the community. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And any last thoughts or anything else you want to say before we log off here?
Stay tuned because we're launching a lot of things, and I can't wait to hopefully we can stream again, man, about some new stuff coming very soon.
Absolutely, man. Look, there's always an open invite. Just tell me when, and you can come on, and we just dive into some stuff. And I definitely want to get into when you're less busy and less going on. I definitely want to just do a dedicated live stream to this concept. I think that was one thing that a lot of people miss, and I think this is going to be extremely important for the educational side of this community, is understanding what this is and what we're trying to achieve in the future, besides a token that with the number go up scheme. So yeah, so cool, guys. Like I said, please check out DragonX at dragonx.win. Check out Erik on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is dude, what is my personal Twitter handle? There's DragonX, Team DragonX 888 is the team channel, and then G1 Erik is my personal. Actually, would you mind posting that on the YouTube, because I don't have a lot of coverage of that one, but
okay.
We're launching so many projects. I might do more on that one so that I don't have to have like 8 Twitters for each like project that we're going to launch.
Okay.
So it might be we'll go there as well.
So what I'll go ahead and do, guys, is I'm going to take both those Twitter handles. I'm going to put in the description below for any future viewers and anyone on this live stream. Please follow him on his personal Twitter. Please follow the team Twitter. That's where you're gonna get the updates, likes, retweet, all that good stuff. Get the algorithm in the favor of this project protocol. And at the end of the day, if DragonX does well, I'm pretty sure TitanX will do well. So good stuff. So all right, guys. Well, that's it for the live stream. We'll catch you in the next one. So like I said, Erik, it's been a pleasure, man.
Same.